Hello guys. So I just want to make this real quick. Now I know I said that I probably wouldn't be making as many, especially with this channel and the other channel. I said I wouldn't be making as many audios, and I'm still not. I might click on every time I have something to say, but for the most part I'm not going to be as active on those channels like I used to be, and I'm going to say why. Because at this point, especially brown women, because I don't like to call myself black, because where the word black was used for a particular group of people. Okay, so I just say brown since I'm including myself. But specifically for brown women, it's time to look into getting as many resources as possible. It's time to probably really not do too much that's not making you money. Okay. And by the way, I want to click on my last audio. I forgot the title of it, but it's my last audio, the one before this one. I was talking about how some women came on the scene years ago. Nobody's going to keep casting their pearls to people who are going to tramp over them over and over again and then not get anything from it. That wasn't me trying to guilt anybody. I was just saying specifically I know of women who came around on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff like that, and they would do research. They would put together these topics, and they would do these recordings for an hour, 2-hour recordings where they're literally teaching a class or something. And these women never asked for anything. And just from what I have observed with brown women as a collective, not just the pro-black, but with the brown women as a collective, even the ones who listen to her, it's growth there for sure, but not a whole lot. And I know it takes a lot for brown women to, I guess, so-called wake up. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna get to the point, because you know how I do. This ain't the point, but it's not so much a lot of brown women are not awakened, okay? Now, and I'm just going to give my opinion. In my opinion, I think a lot of brown women are lazy. And that's not a judgment. That's not a judgment. They're not asleep. I think brown women, a lot of them are lazy. And that's not a judgment, okay? It's not a judgment at all. I think they don't want to do the work that it takes, even though they see a problem on their hands. They don't want to do the work necessary it takes to get to where some other brown women have made it to. They don't want to do the necessary work. Even if it includes splitting apart from toxic people, could be a toxic male, could be a toxic mother, could be a toxic whatever. There is a lot of fear of the unknown. That's with just about anybody, but specifically brown women cannot afford to be like anybody. I'm just going to keep it 100, and then I'm going to get into my point. Brown women cannot afford to be like anybody. So when I say fear of the unknown, you got a real toxic mother, especially, or a toxic brother, a toxic sister, that's messing with your vibration. You do good, and then you get around them and they tear you down. That is not good. It's not a good idea to constantly be in a low vibration, especially at this time. And what's coming, especially with 5G and the COVID-19. It's not a good idea to stay in a low vibration like that. And that's the reason why I also said that a lot of those areas, especially black areas, and I say black neighborhoods because that's what it's called, but they're going to be attacked worse, not only because they're impoverished, but also because impoverished people that are going to get it, it's not just reduced to one culture. It's going to be everybody who's impoverished, not just one group of people. But when it comes to this COVID-19 and 5G, people who are constantly holding a lower vibration are going to die off pretty quickly, and that is, the so-called black people. They hold a very low vibration. They do. You go in their neighborhoods, you're ready to get out as soon as possible. because they really do hold the lowest it's so much disorder. It seems like sometimes it's like you can't wait to get out the store to get away from them, you know. But so they do hold the lowest vibration. That's why when it comes to a mixture of 5G and COVID-19, they're going to be attacked pretty quickly when it comes to illness. Okay. But let me get to the point about brown women being resourceful. And I'm going to talk about why I say you cannot afford to sit where everybody is. A lot of other people like that too. It's not just us. At this point, especially brown women, you can't afford to say, well, other people have this problem. Everybody is, because you know why? Because other people have each other. Brown women don't even have each other. They don't have anybody else really. Now, you might meet some nice people along the way in your life. Okay, like me specifically, I've met nice people in my life. Don't get me wrong. But as far as people just really supporting, speaking up for brown women like that, brown women do not have allies like that, okay? Now, a lot of that is by choice, because you have a majority of brown women who chose to be the sacrifice and kind of just made it hard on the entire, you know, the majority. Even though there's individuals who are, you know, have allies on it individually, they have allies. As a majority, brown women do not have allies, but individual brown women may have allies. Okay. And so that's why I say you can't really afford to say, you know, everybody have this problem. And so I was looking at a video by a person that channel that's called Redirecting. Her channel is called Redirecting. And I think she's a religious woman. She doesn't call herself Hebrew Israelite anymore, even though she still has those beliefs. She doesn't call herself that anymore. Sorry about that. Mostly because of silly males on the street that give Hebrew Israelite a bad name. So nobody wants to be attached to these males on the street yelling like crazy people. Okay, but anyway, aside from her religion though, she was talking about, it was at McDonald's. I forget the name of the place, but it starts with a G. I think it was Chinese people. It was Asian people who did not want to allow black people in McDonald's. They did not want to allow, it was Asian people. They did not want to allow black people in McDonald's. And you know what, you guys, I just looked at her video, but what I want to do is I'm going to see if I can find that particular article, and I'm going to post it down below. But it's a particular group of Asians, I guess, that, you know, purchased a McDonald's. You know, you can do that. You know, you can purchase a McDonald's, you can purchase a Starbucks. You know, I know all of you guys know that by now. And this group of Asians did not want to let black people, not just Africans, black people, period, in McDonald's, because they felt like it was a health risk to let black people in McDonald's, because, you know, black people are blamed, Africans were blamed for the reemergence of, I think, COVID-19 up there in China. Africans were blamed for that, and they were pulling these Africans out of their apartments, out of hotels, wherever these Africans were staying, regardless if they paid they rent or whatever. They were being pulled out and they were thrown on the streets. Okay, because they were blamed for that reemergence over there in China of COVID-19. And so black people are starting to become, Asians are starting to make black people the blame for COVID-19. Okay, even though we know it was done in a laboratory in Wuhan, China, you know, they're trying to say the reemergence of this thing is because of the Africans. So black people are about to become the face of COVID-19. Now, I don't know if they really going to become the face of it, but I see the discrimination specifically from Asians. Not really from anybody else, and I hope it don't get any worse. But if black people don't start to really, really defend themselves like they should, it can get worse. But right now, it's just a lot of these Asians, and there's a lot of these Asians and outside of the United States of America, in like more foreign areas. They're really heavily discriminating against Africans, black people. They're really heavily, and so I say that to say, because I keep hearing this story. It's coming a time where specifically brown women been saying for the longest that they unprotected. Brown women been saying for the longest that nobody really defends them and nobody, you know. And so with that being said, this is a time to become as resourceful as possible. This is a time to become resourceful as possible. This is not a time to be trying to this is not a time to really do too much that don't make you money, okay? Only because of the kind of time we're in. It was nice before, even four years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It was nice to lend yourself to people, do a lot of stuff for free, you know, be that good person, have this big old heart. Okay, that was all nice, but you know what that did though? Even though, you know, brown women have these big hearts to do stuff at low cost, and it, you know, because they had such big hearts that they did it because they loved it and whatever reasons, but it still pushed them back. It still make them sacrifice, because now what's happening now with brown women? Okay, this is not the good, and I hope I say this right, because I don't want to say this in the wrong way. This is not a good time for a lot of brown women to have a big heart. And when I say that, I don't mean if you see somebody laying dead on the street, you pass by and don't do nothing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it's not a good time to have such a big heart that you just want to keep doing for people and want to keep helping people. This is not a good time for that, because we are witnessing how brown people, period, but you know, this channel mostly talks about brown women. But I don't bring up the brown men, because the brown men should be patriarchs, and there's no need me being a woman. Makes no sense of me talking about what they need to be doing. I think the men need to get together and discuss that. I feel like that's none of my business what they do. So that's why I don't bring them up in this conversation, because that's up to them to get together and discuss what they're going to do about the problem. It's not for me to bring up. It's none of my business. Okay. Yeah, I've been thinking about that for the last few days, and some people have already done that. But when I say as many resources as possible, I'm literally talking about gardening on your own. If you can get to a place where you don't have to really buy food from the grocery store. And I mean, it's not a huge rush right now, but you want to learn how to do gardening. Get as many seeds as possible, you know. Save up as possible, as many seeds or however you want to do it, and get to the point where within the next few months you won't even need, if they happen to have a shortage of food, you won't need to get food from the grocery store either. If this is just for the people who can, okay, try to get to an area where there's not a lot of people. Try to buy your own land. Try to have your own property paid off. Try to have your own house paid off if it's possible. I know everybody can't do that. You know, I have to work on that myself. Okay, so I'm kind of preaching to myself too. Try to get to where if your house is not completely paid off, almost paid off. Be careful with apartment buildings. I know that's hard when you probably lived somewhere for so long and you got to get up and move. Definitely, like I said before, out these black neighborhoods, be careful with them, especially the poor black neighborhoods. If you can, as possible, try to get away from them, because they don't learn lessons. They don't learn lessons. Okay, I don't care what happens to black people. They don't seem to learn lessons. Okay. Even the people who want to say who talk about the Hebrew Israelites, right? I'm not into no religion, but I'm just using an example, right? Look how stuff has to keep happening over and over and over and over and over and over again. It seems like they just continue to get worse. They don't learn lessons. Okay? Now, will say that I believe the part hold on. I will say that I believe the part where a lot of them will be just removed. Okay, a huge portion of them will be removed. I do believe that. I do believe it. But the reason why I believe it is because I see what's coming. 5G combined with COVID-19, if you are unhealthy, if you have an unhealthy lifestyle, if you're constantly in a low vibration, it's going to hit you the hardest. It's going to make you ill, and that's black people. That could be a major reason why a lot of them won't make it, specifically in the United States of America. Okay? But what else was I going to say? Yeah, so try to get to a place where I don't want to really talk about owning businesses and stuff. I don't know if you want to try to look into trying to run a business right now, maybe unless it's online. But like opening up a store or something, I would probably be careful like that, especially what happened to these small business owners when when it was locked down. During lockdown, they took a hard hit. They had to close their store down. It caused a lot of issues. So I wouldn't say necessarily owning a business as far as something that's in a physical location, but definitely a lot of online stuff. Try to get as many resources as possible, try to get everything you need. Try to get to the point where you really don't need anything from anybody else. Try to get to the point where you don't need much from anybody else, meaning that you can supply, and I'm looking into this myself, that's the only reason why I bring it up to you, meaning that you can supply your own water, you can pretty much supply most of your energy, you can supply your own water, and what else? Yeah, stuff like that. There's really essential stuff that you're going to need in case something happens again, okay? In case something, you to have your own seeds in the garden. And a lot of people have, grow food inside their apartments. But like I said, if this thing comes back, it's going to be worse than what it is now. It's going to be a lot worse. And I try not to be around the apartment buildings, no matter what color the people are. I don't want to be around a lot of people, period. I just don't want to be, when that happens, or if that happens, because people are going to have different realities, people are going to have different realities. But if that happens, you want to be best to be around the least amount of people as possible. Be around the least amount of people as possible. Because see, even look at what happened to Italy. They were following all the instructions. They were strict. They were doing what they were supposed to do. But they kept seeing these stores. They were not supplying they were not putting food on the shelves. These people kept going without food. And they didn't have their refrigerator stocked up. They didn't have a bunch of seeds, where they can grow gardens and stuff. And they were emptying out the stores. The grocery stores was empty of food. And these Italians started rioting. So anybody can be pushed out into their animalistic nature. It's not just black people. Okay, anybody can be pushed down into their animalistic nature. Okay, those Italians, they were doing the right thing. They was trying to be strict. They was trying to follow mandates and trying to just follow rules. But these stores removed a lot of food from those shelves. Maybe just people were buying them up and then they weren't being restocked. And those Italians, they started looting. They went crazy because they had families to feed. So they were a part of the Hunger Games too. And I think the Hunger Games, that was a social experiment on them. Honestly, I think it was a social experiment. But those Italians were part of the Hunger Games. And so when I talk about impoverished people, it's not just towards black, but black people are going to get it the hardest because they have the lowest vibration. And it don't have to be the lowest, but it just is with them. And they already lack resources. See, those Italians, it took a while to make them go crazy like that. A lot of them were doing okay financially. Okay? And after so long where you're not able to get food, it caused them to go crazy. So they were a part of the Hunger Games. And that's why I said in my last audio that this person was walking around in the store in an affluent neighborhood. I think it's the area where she lives in, because I think she's affluent herself. She was in an affluent neighborhood in a store, and she saw a lot of the people shopping. They were non-black people. had on white wristbands. They were not following any kind of mandates that regular folks follow. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? They were not following the type of mandates that regular average people follow. They did not have to wear face masks, and they did not need to do no social distancing and 6 feet apart. No, they didn't have to do any of that. None of it. And they were in an affluent neighborhood. Okay, a highly affluent neighborhood, wealthy. Okay. And so that's what I'm saying, is that most people who are below a certain amount of money, a certain amount of resources, especially resources, they're all going to be part of the Hunger Games. Okay, they all are. But what I'm saying is that black people are going to get it first. I won't necessarily say they're going to get it the worst, but they're going to get it first, because they already at the lowest and they already vibrating low. Okay, so they're going to get it first, but it might not be the worst. Because those Italians went crazy when they kept seeing that the shelves wasn't being restocked. They started going crazy just like black folks would. So that's what I'm saying. When you take everything from somebody, no matter who they are, no matter how many rules they try to follow, no matter how much they work, no matter how much they were a good citizen, you take food away from them, you take everything away from them, and then they rely on you for water and power. Because most people, I don't care if they white, black, Chinese, whoever, most people are paying another company for water and for energy. And so no matter how good you were, how much of an honest job you had, you know, how much you paid your bills on time, how good your credit is, when people keep taking essential stuff from you and leave you with nothing, you're going to go crazy no matter what. It's not just the black people, okay? And so to end this, that's why I'm saying specifically brown women. Knowing that people right now are not really an ally to brown women. We can't be like everybody else. We can't be like everybody else. Okay, we have to be better than everybody else. Okay, we have to be above everybody else. And I know that's frustrating for some people, because they say, well, we just do the best we can. We have to do. Well, yeah, you do. You do. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but you're going to have to do it. I don't feel like doing it either. But I'm going to have to do more than everybody else, okay? I'm going to have to do more than that Asian woman next to me, because you know why? Because more than likely she has a husband that whatever she can't do, he going to make up for it. More than likely she got a family that's resourceful. More than likely she has a whole community that is resourceful, right? Brown women don't have that. So as much as it might seem unfair to have to be above them, you're going to have to be above them. You're going to have to do more than the Asian woman. You're going to have to do more than the white woman. If you want to survive, you're going to have to do more than them. You're going to have to, but I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of them are going to be part of the Hunger Games if they at a certain bracket income or whatever. They're going to, a lot of them are going to be a part of those Hunger Games, you know. So like I said, it's not, the Hunger Games is not reduced to race. It's reduced to class. It's going to be a classes. So, you know, there was a period of time where the society was racist and colorist, right? That is being pushed away. It's still happening because those energies are still on people. But I'm probably going to unlock a video in my other channel about Humanity Gets What It Gets Part 2. And I told a story about an Asian woman who had this separation and racist type of ideas in her heart towards another employee, a brown lady. And I said that is no longer going to work for where this paradigm is going. You're going to have to get that separation out your heart according to color and all that stuff, especially people who are going to be at the bottom. You know, that's not going to work anymore, because this is no longer going to be that kind of society. The racism, the colorism is passing away. Okay, it's passing away. People say, oh, judgment. Well, you can say it's judgment, but I know a little bit more about what's happening. I know people say Mother Nature taking care of itself, Mother Nature getting rid of some people. Why Mother Nature let them people come here in the first place? But that's another conversation. I ain't gonna get into it. But why did Mother Nature allow these folks to be here in the first place to rape her? That's another conversation that I don't even want to get into, because that's gonna start an argument. Mother Nature, I'm gonna be honest with you. I listen to a lot of people in the occult, and they ain't talking like that. People in the occult, they know better. If Mother Nature wanted to clean herself up, she wouldn't have let it get like this in the first place. She just wouldn't. I'm just saying. Because imagine, okay, a planet, right? Which this is not really a planet. This is a construct. Okay? What you're on is a holographic, you're in a holographic system. That's why I made that comment about Mother Nature cleaning herself up. You're in what's called a holographic system. You're in a construct. So you're not really in a real planet. Because I can name some planets right now. They wouldn't even allow that crap to happen over there. Okay? Let's think of a very high, think of a planet that has high vibration, a lot of energy, high vibration. How would anybody even be able to go over there and invade that place? They wouldn't make it at some of these planets. They wouldn't make it over there. Okay? So what this is a construct. It's not really what you have been told to believe it is. But getting back to the point of why I said people are saying, oh, it's judgment on them, oh, it's this and it's that. People being punished for separation, people being punished for colorism. No, it's not necessarily judgment on them. What's happening is that particular type of system is no longer needed. Okay, that's why black folks ain't hardly no longer needed, because they wouldn't need it because of the hierarchy according to colorism, according to race, because it was a racist system. It was racist. Black people need to be on the bottom, and so that's why I said in my last audio, they could have been wiped out a long time ago, and they weren't, because of the hierarchy, because of the kind of system was in place. They needed to be there. They needed to be at the bottom. They needed to be animals. They needed to be savages, because somebody had to be at the bottom. That is no longer going to exist. But the type of system that is coming, I would say in the future, it's not going to be, it's going to be one of singularity. It's going to be one of oneness, but it's not going to be the kind of oneness that everybody want to keep talking about. These love and light people want to talk about. It's not going to be that kind of oneness. The oneness is going to be more of artificial intelligence. The oneness is going to be more of artificial intelligence. And so they're trying to get people to all, to all do the same thing, to be robotic, to all agree to the same thing, to not have your own individual mind. That's why they censoring people now on social media platforms that seem to have a mind for themselves, because they're moving towards the singularity. They're moving towards oneness, but love and light people, be careful listening to love and light people, because when love and light people want to make it seem like this oneness is all about harmony and people loving another. That's not what it is. It's more AI based. It's more artificial intelligence based, where you are controlled, where you won't have your own thoughts. You will be completely disconnected from your divine self. You will not have your own independent thoughts, and you will be at the command of whoever wants to control you and everybody. That's the oneness. That is the oneness right there. Okay, that is the singularity. Okay, so that's why I say getting rid of all this colorism and people who have that in their hearts being removed. It's not a judgment. It's just that the ones that's controlling things, they're ready to move to a different type of system. Okay, even one world government, one world whatever religion and all that stuff, But I think that's it. I'm going to end with just saying that brown women especially, At this time right now. Now, I know with all the stuff I talked about with AI, and they say how people say, how is that going to happen? Well, I'm not going to say too much of what I feel like right now, okay? I'm gonna leave that for a little bit later. But that plan is already in motion, and it's happening right now. They're moving towards singularity right now. Yeah, brown women especially cannot afford to be like any other woman. She has to be better. She has to be just about better than any other woman and better than any other man, because brown women for the most part have no allies. They don't even have each other. Okay? And so individually, even if you can just find a friend or something, you know, you're going to have to get as many resources as possible. That doesn't mean own a bunch of businesses, because that probably won't work right now where this thing is headed. That might not be a good idea unless you're online. And you're going to have to probably not be so honest all the time. Like say if you start a YouTube channel, well, you want to do the best you can to make as much money as possible. A lot of times people say it's hard for brown women to make a lot of money. You might want to get into not being so honest. I'm just being real. You might want to get into not being so honest. Like I say, a particular channel that I have an idea coming up with. It's going to have some music in the background. It might have some words, but people are not going to know what color I am. Because when people sometimes assume that you are white, you get the most subscribers and you get the most money. Okay? This is not the time really for me to be honest. Okay? I'm being honest in this audio right now. But when it's time for me to really get myself together, get these resources, knowing that I don't have the allies I should have, it's not a time for me to have morals either. It's not a time for me to have morals either. That doesn't mean I steal from a store. That doesn't mean I steal from somebody. I take money out their wallet and not those. I'm not saying do crazy stuff like that. I'm talking about when you know that when you know that you don't have allies, when you know you don't have the most resources, and you know a lot of people are still prejudiced towards you, but you know you need to make a lot of money, you know you need a lot of resources, then it's not the best time to really be the most honest person in the world. It's time to get yours. This is just a time to get yours. And unfortunately, I know that sounds extremely selfish. I know it may sound wrong to people who have morals, but look at the position that brown women are in. You're not in a position to have morals like these other groups of people want to have all these morals. You're not in a position to exercise those same kind of morals, because you've been put in a position where you have been thrown to the wolves. You have literally been thrown to the wolves, and you're not in a position to have a bunch of morals. Morals is what still have brown women behind. Well, I can't call it morals, because what brown women like to call morals, I feel like a lot of them are full of it, because they say one thing and do another anyway, you know. But yeah, that's all I got to say, and I'm going to go on and hang up. But yeah, just as many resources as possible. Try to get to the point where, you know, it's nice to shop, it's nice to buy stuff, but get to the point where if push comes to shove, you really don't need anybody. And that's what I'm trying to say. Get to the point where you are so innovative, where you are so creative, to the point where if you ever get to a place where you can't shop, where you can't buy nothing, get to a place where you don't need anybody. You really want to get to a place where you barely need anybody. Okay? Because it might be hard for the brown woman especially to get any help around that time. So you want to get to the point where you have everything that you need. And if other people, and don't to be careful sharing with other people, they need to demonstrate that they're going to reciprocate. If they don't reciprocate, brown women like to have these big hearts. Like, you know, God knows my heart. I'm not criticizing anybody's religion. But brown women like to have these morals like, well, I still like to help even though people don't give back to me. I said, well, guess what? You're going to be depleted and you're going to be hungry, and then folks are not going to come back and help you, and you're going to be just messed up, okay? So it's not a good time to share unless they are giving something back to you, okay? But anyway, with that being said, I will talk. I don't know when the next time I'll come on, because like I say, this channel and the other channel I had, it's not going to be a channel where I just, you know, constantly make audios because of what time it is. Because of what time it is. And unless I have something to say, I'm not going to just be uploading stuff. Unless I really have a message I want to say. Those two will no longer, this one and the other one will no longer be a channel where I regularly upload videos. The upcoming channels where I decide to upload videos, it's going to be for money. I mean, I know that's going to sound bad, but when them Hunger Games come, you're going to understand. You're going to understand what I mean. When the Hunger Games get here, you'll see why I say the next channels that I start, it's going to only be for money. You'll understand when the Hunger Games get here. Okay? The Hunger Games are already happening right now, but it's not as bad as it's going to get. I think this was a test run. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this was a test run. And certain people's realities is going to get a lot worse. And when it does, I don't know if that's whose reality that's going to be. Just make sure you have everything you need to the point where you don't have to ask anybody for anything. Not even to cut on your water. Not even for electricity. Okay? Not even that much. Okay? Because a lot of you guys already know how to have gardens and stuff. But at the same time, if you have all those things, try to make sure you're not around other people that's going to be bombarding your house and trying to break in. Okay, that's why I say that for the people who can, because I know it's unrealistic for everybody to try to get somewhere where they can kind of be as much about themselves as possible. But if you can, do what you got to do, because even when you have those resources to yourself, if you live in an area where there's hundreds of other people that are starving, that are pretty much messed up, they're going to break into your place and take everything you have. So that's why I say get away from people. Get away from a lot of people. Okay? With that being said, I'll talk to you later. Okay.